public defender is an attorney employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. The first public defender's office in the United States was opened in January 1913. Over the years, other offices were opened. And today, that handful has grown to a network of lawyers cooperating to protect the rights of our clients. Tonight's case concerns one of the most frightening problems we face today. As you watch, remember one thing, that the answer lies with you, and only with you. Rhode Island, 800,000 people, 1,200 square miles. The smallest state in the Union, but not too small for this.
All right, Adams. Why?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know is an answer I'm getting too often these days. Do you consider that a proper answer to why you have been absent 5 days so far this month with no excuse?
I guess so.
Do you consider that an intelligent explanation? Your school record will follow you through the rest of your life. You know that. Arrested 6 months ago. Misdemeanor. Probation granted. Doesn't seem to have done much good, does it? What are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to hurt, Peter?
Nobody, sir.
Is that all you've got to say?
Guess so.
You don't leave me any alternative, Adams. You are suspended from this school. I want to see your father and mother as soon as possible. Tell them that. That's all. Miss Riker, get me Mr. Matthews at the public defender's office, please.
Suspended? What is it with that kid? Why does he have to do things like this to me? It's hard enough to make a living. I gotta have this, too?
Mr. Adams.
Look, Mr. Matthews, I'm sorry. I appreciate you defended him before. Got him off on probation. But I don't understand it. I'm not a bum, not a criminal. I'm an honest man. I work for a living. I go to church. I'm secretary of the lodge. How can a son of mine do things like this?
That's not exactly a new question.
A beating, is that what he needs? All his life, I never laid a hand on him. Maybe that's where I made a mistake.
I don't think that's the answer.
You got an answer? I'd be glad to hear it.
Well, do you spend much time with the boy? Have you tried talking to him to find out what's bothering him?
I tried like you told me 6 months ago. Took him to ball games, bowling, tried to get close to him. Does it look to you like it helped?
I see. Well, I'm sorry to have bothered you at work, Mr. Adams, but Pete wasn't at home, and it's important that I see him. This suspension has become a violation of probation.
I don't even know where to tell you to look.
I'll take a look in that shack over on Charles. Pete wouldn't be the first boy who's used it for a hangout.
Kids. Go figure 'em. Knock your brains out to give them a nice home. They'd rather hang out in some shack.
Maybe there's a reason, Mr. Adams.
What?
Maybe they find something there they don't get at home.
What's the federal case? You gonna call or ain't you?
Well, let me think.
Start thinking, we'll never get finished.
You boys seen Pete Adams?
Who wants to know, mister?
My name's Matthews.
Well, good for you.
I ask about Pete Adams.
He ain't here.
I can see that. I asked you if you had seen him.
No.
You boys going into business? got anything in mind, you better not miss your first try.
Oh, you got me all wrong, mister.
Tell Pete Adams to get in touch with me as soon as you see him. Isn't your name Vince Fulton?
You heard of me, huh?
Yeah. I thought you were still doing time at Howard.
I got 6 months off for good behavior. And I'm reporting to my parole officer regular. What's happened to this place since I've been away? Anybody can walk in here.
Oh, gee, Vince, it ain't our fault.
Why don't you talk to Pete?
Talk to me about what?
We don't like the company you got looking for you. Like that Matthews. What are you doing, giving out passes?
Oh, wait a minute, that's not my fault.
Who are you gonna bring next, the cops?
Well, look, if that's the way you feel, there are other fellas to hang out with.
Pete, wait a minute. Al? You got a big mouth for a kid, Al.
Oh, fellas!
All right. Everybody through griping?
I only meant it.
I said you got a big mouth. Now, listen to me. Let's concentrate on doing ourselves some good instead of all this griping off.
Sure, Vince, you're the boss.
That's right. None of you knotheads ever heard of the Star Depot?
You mean that trucking place?
Yeah, only it ain't a trucking place, it's a depot. A place where trucks come down from Maine and stay overnight so the drivers can sleep.
What about it?
Do I have to draw you a map? I said the trucks stay there all night. Now, we shouldn't let those poor loaded trucks stay there doing nobody no good.
Oh, you're so right.
What are the trucks carrying, Vince?
Merchandise, canned good, cases of it.
You mean heist them?
Who miss a few?
Now, wait a minute, fellas. I don't
You
think...
don't think what, Buster?
Nothing.
That's better. Now, where was I?
Oh, we were just stealing the vegetables. Then what do we do with them?
We fence them. So what's wrong with that? Somebody gets a good deal, we make a few bucks, and nobody gets hurt. Simple, huh?
Yeah, but how do we get in the depot? There's a big wire fence around it.
Do I have to do all of your thinking for you? We boost one of us over the fence. Pete, he's the smallest. Unless you're chicken, Pete.
You ain't saying anything, Pete.
Are you chicken, Pete?
No. No, I ain't. I ain't chicken.
Cream? Please.
Sugar?
No, thanks. Now, to get back to your boy, Mrs. Adams, it's important that I talk to him.
I don't understand Pete doing these things, Mr. Matthews. I just don't understand any of it.
Now, you say he hasn't been home all evening.
He's never done anything like this before. Never stayed out past dinner. I'm worried sick. I was just going out to look for him.
You were going out? Well, what about his father?
Oh, he had an important lodge meeting tonight. You see, he's secretary. Oh, I know what you're thinking, Mr. Matthews, but it isn't like that. The lodge is important to him, and he works hard all day, and he's entitled to a little thing like that.
Yes, of course. Now, about this thing between Pete and his father, this feeling. I wonder if you could tell me something about it, something that would help to explain.
I don't know, Mr. Matthews. I really don't know how it gets started. They both try, but something always seems to happen. Like the thing that happened one night last week. Pete was working on a ship model. His father was going to his lodge, and he'd just gone into the kitchen to get a drink of water.
No wonder you're having troubles. You got it in wrong. You shoved the spar in too tight. That's what makes it bend. But you're rigging on a line.
Oh,
What's the matter with you, Pete? You should have been able to see that.
all right, Pop.
I worked on models when I was a kid. I made mistakes, but none as simple as that. What you should have
All right,
done
so I'm simple. Everybody can't be as good as you.
Don't use that tone to me.
Where you going?
Out.
You're always going out.
Yeah. I wonder why.
What did I say this time? I was only trying to help.
Well, that's always the way it turns out. It drives me crazy. I just can't understand it. Two of them, fighting all the time. And Pete'll just go out, disappear.
I see.
Now the thing with the school. Pete isn't the kind of a boy to be put out of school.
Well, Pete is my responsibility as far as the juvenile court is concerned. It's important that I talk to him as soon as possible. Would you tell him that when he comes in?
Well, of course. But, Mr. Matthews, I'm sure of one thing. I know my son. I know he'd never do anything he'd have to be ashamed of. Never.
Pushover. Just like taking candy. Now work quiet like I told you. Come on, Pete, I'll give you food stuff. Well, you can make it easy. What are you waiting on? That watchman, are you sure he can't hear us? I told you he's down at the other end making his rounds. Now, come on, get up there.
Who's that? What you doing to that
Hey, Vince, what do we do? Run, what do you think? Get on! Hey, Vince, help me down! Get on yourself, you yellow punk. What do you want me to do, carry you?
Hold it. You over there. I see you.
Makes nice reading, huh? Young hoodlums attempt truck depot hijack. Watchman says boys were school age. Sure helps what we're trying to do here in juvenile.
Well, they're printing the facts, John.
Facts. The boys think they're big heads. We're made to look like we're not doing our job. That phone hasn't stopped ringing all day. Everybody indignant and each with a solution. Why don't they print the real facts?
The world is filled with Monday morning quarterbacks.
They get together on one thing, though. Their kids never do anything like this. It's always somebody else's kids.
Yeah, I know.
You've defended 4 or 5 from that area. You got one who's in a little probation trouble right now, haven't you? What's his name? Well, you bet. Lieutenant Roswell, juvenile. Yes, lady, I understand. You're right, it's a Yes, madam, we're all taxpayers. This may go on for hours. Look, Bart, what'd you say that boy's name was?
Peter Adams.
Have you talked to him?
Well, he's pretty elusive.
Friendly suggestion. You better find out if he's mixed up in this thing, and do it as quick as you can.
All right.
Yes, I understand, lady. Certainly.
Did you read this yet?
I read it.
Ever seen anything like this in your life? What's happening to kids today? What do they want?
Has anybody ever bothered to ask them?
What?
Nothing.
Oh, speaking of kids, what time did Mr. Stayout get home last night?
What time did you get home?
So the meeting ran a little late. I'm not 16 years old.
Ed.
I looked in his room when I came in. He was asleep or pretending to be. We're going to have a few words, that grown-up son of mine and me. We're going to get a few things straight, believe me.
Ed, please. Don't argue with him. Don't yell at him. Just talk to him. You're his father.
I'll talk, all right.
That tone of voice, that look on your face, you're so impatient.
And there's nothing to be impatient about. Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, what's the matter with you, Ruth? The public defender gets him off once. He turns right around and gets in more trouble. Explain it to me. Go ahead, I want to hear it.
Ed, please.
You know what the next step is? This. Something like this.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
All right. I know what you're going to say. That's for bums and hoodlums and not for boys like Pete. Well, I'm going to make sure it never gets that far. Well, the night owl. Where you going, Pete? To school? You like it so much you go on Saturdays these days? Well, I ask you a question.
I'm going out.
I'm going out. Just like that, huh? Sit down.
Eat some breakfast, Pete.
I'm not hungry.
And you're not very smart either. Or maybe you are. Maybe you're smart in school. Tell me about school, Pete. Especially about the last couple of weeks.
Ed.
Never mind, he's big enough to talk for himself now. Big enough to stay out of school. Well?
I wanted to tell you about it.
Only you didn't. Things like that I got to hear from Mr. Matthews, huh? Nice.
Pop, listen.
To what? A bunch of excuses? What are you trying to do to us? Take a look. Is this what you're heading for? Is this what's next? Hey, what's this? What happened to your jacket?
Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Let me see that.
Ed, what is it?
I tell you, it's nothing. I tore it. I tore it playing.
Playing? Playing where? On a fence? You're the one they're looking for. You did it.
No, Pop, no.
It's all right here in the papers. Look at me, look at me.
It wasn't me. I wasn't there.
Why do you lie to me? Why do you lie?
Ed, stop it. Are you crazy? Stop it.
That's what I raised. That. A thief.
Don't say a thing like that.
Why? Just tell me why. Name me one meal he ever went without. One thing he ever wanted that I never gave him. Just name me one thing.
That's what you say. You never gave a hoot about me till I got into trouble. If you ever talked to me, you made me feel like a nobody. Always you were a genius trying to get something through my thick head. Every time you talk to me, you make me feel like I'm nothing. And you never let up, do you? Last month we went to a ball game. So what? You gotta make everything a lesson. Point out how good this guy is and that guy is and how good you were and why I ain't that good. Every time. Everything you ever did had a hook on it. And I was the poor sucker on the end.
Come back here.
What for? You wouldn't even like the way I did that.
So what? Nothing in this world works every time out. Little trouble's good for you. Make a man out of you. So we blew a chance to make a few bucks. Nobody got caught, did they? And we learned something.
Yeah, I learned something.
What do you mean by that crack?
I mean, you're not as smart as you think you are. You cased the joint. You said the watchman was down at the other end. You think you can handle both of us?
Yeah, with one hand. Now sit down. This is stupid. This kind of yak ain't getting us no loot.
Well, look who walked in. The fence climber.
You shut your mouth. Come on in, Pete. Now listen, I don't want you guys needling each other. I'm the boss around here. You dig that?
Sure, Vince, sure.
All right. Now, what's the smartest thing we can do right now?
What do you mean?
Come on, stay with me. We blew this last one. Where do we hit next?
The other end of town.
You got any ideas, Al? That's what I thought. We go right back to the same place.
So soon after
That's the way a smart operator works, punk. Besides, who'd be expecting us to come back there so soon? Don't you see?
How, Vince? How do we do it?
It's a cinch. The same way as before. That night watchman won't expect us so soon. Well, let me hear from you.
I'm in.
I'm in, too.
How about you, Pete? You gonna climb that fence again?
Why not? What have I got to lose now?
The look on his face as he stood there saying it. He meant it. Every word of it.
I'm quite sure he did, Mr. Adams.
But why? What did I do that's so terrible?
Please, it won't help to get excited all over again.
But what did I do? All those things he said, that was a kid talking.
That kid is your son, Ed. He's got feelings just like everyone else.
What am I supposed to do? Watch every word, every look?
You do it when you deal with adults. Kids are more sensitive.
My son, doing things like that.
Nobody does things like that without a reason, Mr. Adams.
Did I give him a reason, Mr. Matthews?
The important thing is, he thinks you did.
You're exhausted, Ed. You haven't had any dinner. Please eat something, please.
There isn't too much time, Mrs. Adams. We've got to find Pete. The police are out looking for those boys now. Pete's in serious trouble.
Did I put him in that trouble? Tell me, I've got to know.
Well, I can only tell you this, Mr. Adams, and it's pretty elementary. Anyone who works with kids knows it, but you'd be surprised how many parents never learn it. Now, the biggest single reason for juvenile delinquency, do you know what it is? A kid feeling he's not loved by his parents. Feeling that he doesn't matter to his parents one way or the other. Now, like all of us, he's got to matter to someone. He's got to have approval. And if he doesn't find it at home, he'll go somewhere else for it. Anywhere. And if he finds it by being tough and criminal, he settles for that. He grabs at it to fill the need that wasn't filled at home. Let's go find Pete, Mr. Adams. Here's a lamp. Good.
Get your hands up. Oh, it's you, Mr. Matthews.
What are you trying to do? Scare people to death?
Are you kidding? Those kids have really got Lieutenant Roswell burning. He's got every cop in town out tonight. I just hope they're covering the right places.
What makes them so sure tonight's the night?
How bright does he have to be? They've hit for the last 6 Saturdays.
Roswell's on it himself, huh?
Yeah.
Where?
The truck depot. Roswell's a pretty smart cop. He figures the action to repeat there.
Well, thanks, Fred. We'll be running along.
Stick around a while. It's a lonely beat.
You don't know how lonely, Fred.
Give me the tire iron. Oh, this'll be a cinch.
Think so? Put your hands up, quick, all of you. Drop that tire iron. All right, against the wall and face it. Come on, move. Hands against the wall. Shake them.
We ain't got no guns.
No, but you got trouble, kid. You got lots of trouble. Don't try it. You got your client back, Bart. Only this time he won't get probation.
All 4 boys were held on counts of malicious mischief and attempted robbery. They are awaiting their hearing at this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the case you have just seen is true. One small facet of a huge problem. We offer no solution, for a problem of this size cannot be solved with hard and fast rules. But one thing we do know, one basic fact that must be the keystone of the solution. There is no substitute for love and affection. Peter Adams' parents learned this the hard way. How many others have yet to learn this same lesson? The case you have just seen was brought to a fair and just conclusion through the efforts of a public defender. Tonight, Philip Morris salutes Public Defender Robert M. Cole, Sacramento County, Sacramento, California, and his staff for outstanding achievement in the cause of justice.